respond to that circumstance. Good afternoon. My name is Rosemarie Decosta. Thank you so much for being here. I'd like you to raise your hand if you've ever felt overwhelmed, been treated unfairly by someone, maybe had to deal with something that you just didn't really want to. I know my hand goes up for all three. I can give you a list of all the things I've had to endure to get to this point in my life. I suspect each one of you could give me a list of your own. Personal struggles, economic challenges, ignorant people. I get that. I know that some people are interested in what I have to say. I also know that some people aren't. I get that too. Now, I may not like that circumstance, but I've already made the choice to get up here and do my very best. Will that change anything for any of you? I can't say. Today I'll be sharing 3 things that I found to be relevant from some past speeches that I reviewed: circumstance, choice, and change. Our story begins with 3 extraordinary men facing 3 extraordinary circumstances. In 1939, Lou Gehrig faced a circumstance called amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, also known as ALS. This book, Anatomica, defines ALS as a progressive, fatal disease marked by muscle weakening, muscle failure, thinning, wasting away until eventual paralysis sets in. That was his circumstance. In 1993, Jim Valvano, beloved North Carolina State basketball coach, faced a circumstance in the form of a cancer that riddled his body from head to toe with tumors. And he had to just deal with that. Unless, of course, they said, hang in there because we might find a cure while you're trying to survive. In 2001, Jack Buck Sr., legendary St. Louis Cardinals baseball commentator, faced a circumstance where he needed to find a way to heal the spirit and wounds of a nation following the 9/11 terrorist attacks. 3 men, 3 circumstances. Now, each one could use their circumstance as a reason to hate, to be angry, to carry around pain and sorrow. And who wouldn't blame them? They're only human. Who wouldn't agree with that feeling? But here's where the story gets interesting. Even though they had their circumstance that they had to face, it's the way they responded to the circumstance that makes it truly interesting. 3 men, 3 choices. On July 4, 1939, Lou Gehrig went public with his illness. In a packed Yankee Stadium, he delivered a farewell speech that was filled with admiration and honor to his family, his friends, and his teammates. He was an incredible baseball player, we know that. But the opening words are the most gracious thing about him. I consider myself to be the luckiest man on the face of this earth. He chose bravery over bitterness. On March 3rd, 1993, Jim Valvano was awarded the Arthur Ashe Courage and Humanitarian Award during the ESPY Awards. His acceptance speech was called Never Give Up, and it left his audience in tears. His final words were, "Cancer will take all of my physical abilities, but cancer will not take my mind, it cannot touch my heart, and it cannot touch my soul. And those 3 things will go on forever." Jim Valvano chose courage over catastrophe. On September 11, 2001, our world was changed forever by terrorist attacks from across the globe. 6 days later, Jack Buck Sr. faced a crowd of baseball fans, firemen, firefighters, on what should be the normal opening day of baseball season. Now, plenty of people questioned whether any of us should really be doing that. We just endured a terrorist attack. Is it right? Well, Jack Buck Sr. answered his critics loud and clear, and the crowd erupted with the words, USA, USA, USA. Jack Buck chose freedom over fear. So how does circumstance and choice lead to change? I'm glad you asked. Lou Gehrig chose bravery over bitterness. That perspective changed his entire life. Now, instead of sitting at home waiting for the phone to ring to get an occasional appearance or maybe do a lecture and let the money roll He chose to serve as the New York City Parole Commissioner. Until the day that he died, he did public service. He served others until the day that he died, instead of sitting at home being bitter about his circumstance. Jim Valvano chose courage over catastrophe. His speech changed the lives of everyone who heard it that night. It continues to be one of the top motivational speeches used across this nation. In locker rooms around the country, it is still heard. It's changing the lives of coaches who choose to speak it, players who hear it, and people who choose to believe it. Never give up. Jack Buck Sr. chose freedom over fear. Now, his patriotic speech was actually a poem that he had written. The man was 77 years old, suffering severely from Parkinson's disease. Yet he changed the resolve of an entire nation with 20 lines of sincerity and true American grit. Does the story end here? I don't think so. I think that every day when we get up, you and I, we face the same unknowns, the same circumstances. And we are no different than those men. We are made of the same fabric of life. We are forged from the same fires of time. The only thing that's going to be different is our response. Will you be brave, or will you be bitter? Will you be courageous, or will you cower in catastrophe? Will you stand tall in freedom, or will you retreat in fear? That decision is entirely yours. And so is the difference that you can make every single day as you go along to decide your circumstance, choice,